The idea that sometimes comes packaged with very important topics is if you're not a wise man, if you're not profound, then keep silent. And it's important to understand when you don't understand. But it's foolish to avoid difficult topics in education. The way that students present their understanding is through essays in response to teacher assignments. And older, more well-read, experienced professors then make comments and give grades. There's an Ayn Rand book called We the Living. It pertains to the way that a person understands through their own learning processes, does the best that they can do, their level best, and should be rewarded or acknowledged according to their achievements. Alexander Solzhenitsyn once said, I believe it was in his Harvard address in 1978, spring of 1978, but I'm not sure. He said, my responsibility to the living outweighs my responsibility to the dead. For this reason, he kept quiet about certain things going on that he knew about in the Soviet Union. When it comes to Holocaust survivors' testimony, when it comes to the literature written by Holocaust survivors who have passed away, when it comes to historians who've documented the Holocaust, stories told by experienced people, by highly qualified journalists, there's no room for misunderstanding about the fact that the human race went wrong. And in some ways, Holocaust survival studies, Holocaust studies, not necessarily survivor studies, historians, historical studies, have an obligation to the dead that can seem to outweigh the obligation to the living. My view is that the work of preserving the memory and seeking to understand the forces that went wrong needs to be carefully reviewed as separate from the way that it has been used. Try though Israel might, we're not talking about a continuation of the same crime. There are similarities between the two things. They certainly should be compared and contrasted. But if we make the mistake of looking at the past in the 1930s and 40s through the lens of what's going on in the 2020s, we gravely misunderstand. We're invited to misunderstand what is being done as somehow settling scores rather than perpetuating grave error. There are people whose hearts genuinely go out to the Jewish community at all times, not for special reasons, but because we're part of the human race and we have faith in human rights and international law. I had an Israeli and American classmate who called me up one day to get my opinion. So, as he explained it, he could do the opposite of what I said because there was nobody whose opinion he valued less. And I'm afraid I think it speaks to Israelis about America in general, because certainly they have made their peace with Biden, and there's nobody whose opinion I think is less wholesome regarding what's happening. But no matter how firmly I have rejected Israel, I have no interest in what they have to say. I have no interest in who they are or what they think because of what they're doing. I have soured on their project. It's important for me as a scholar not to get the two things confused. I'm not going to go into a song and dance justifying myself. I just wanted to say that.